here a few weeks ago, they decided to schedule a contempt hearing against me without following the procedures of setting up a rule to show cause and stuff. And regardless of all that, in Indiana, you got an automatic change of right to, or an automatic change of judge by right. Anyway, knowing that they were just gonna screw me again, I did a few things to prevent him from even having jurisdiction over this case anymore. One was to change a judge, because you got a one-time right in Indiana, with a petition to change custody or that kind of thing, something major. And I also removed the case to federal court, which removed all jurisdiction from him, at least temporarily.
How did you do that, by filing bankruptcy?
No. That it's similar to how bankruptcy works, where bankruptcy puts automatic stay on garnishments and that kind of stuff.
Why didn't you do that?
I did those things. Well, it's not bankruptcy, but because it's a child custody case, of course. But you can remove cases to federal court in every state under 28 U.S.C. 1441 through 1447. But basically, when you allege violations of civil rights, you can remove cases to federal court. And if you go to my website, there's pre-packaged sets of pleadings there that people have been downloading and using to file removal packages all over the country, from what I understand, recently. I don't know how many, at least several dozen.
So why are you in here?
So I'm in here under just pure retaliation. They refused to obey the law. The judge knew he didn't have jurisdiction over me anymore, so he ordered me to be arrested and held without bond. When he didn't even have jurisdiction anymore.
So he didn't have jurisdiction,
and so because
and he just arrested you anyway.
Yes.
He issued a bench warrant to have you arrested.
Arrested for failure to appear at a hearing he could no longer have because his jurisdiction was already taken away from him.
What judge was this?
Oh, Jeffrey B. Boles.
Judge Jeffrey B. Boles of Hendricks County?
Right. And this same judge has been known to the Indiana Supreme Court for at least 15 years, maybe 20 years, of being just out of control, to the point in 1990, they almost removed him from office back then, quoting all kinds of things that he had done for many years as far as being abusive and retaliatory to clients, litigants, defendants, other attorneys, other judges, county politicians, how he's tried to usurp the authority of federal courts.
Have you filed a writ of habeas corpus?
I haven't done that, but I'm working just today. I'm working on a writ of mandamus and prohibition. In other words, whenever a judge exceeds their jurisdiction or acts without jurisdiction, then you can ask the high court of the state, well, at least that's the way it works in Indiana, you can ask the Supreme Court to say, the judge exceeded his jurisdiction, therefore you can mandate or prohibit him under a mandamus or prohibition to order them to obey the law. You know, in regular appeals, it would be discretionary things you have to figure out, arguments and all that kind of stuff, and how case law works out and everything. But this is a simple situation where he did not have jurisdiction, period, end of story.
Did you tell the officers when they arrested you?
Yes, they don't care.
Okay, and then did you have a hearing?
I also faxed the sheriff of this county 10 minutes after the last paperwork was filed, effecting the federal removal, so he did not have jurisdiction, informing the sheriff of this county. And I attached copies of the pleadings too, so he would have the actual law, informing him in one page that this judge is known to be retaliatory and abusive, and because I removed this case away from him, I would not be surprised if he filed or ordered that I be arrested on a body attachment for failure to appear at this hearing that he was not allowed to have, and to inform the sheriff of this county that surely you're a man of integrity and you would not want to be involved in such dastardly deeds and so forth.
You did that from the jail here?
No, I did that the day before I was arrested.
Ah.
The hearing was on Wednesday the 26th, 3 weeks ago today. They arrested me the next day. They came out of the county into my county and arrested me the next day.
How do they get jurisdiction in your county?
See, I don't know that either. That doesn't seem right either. I'm not really up on that. But it doesn't seem like they have jurisdiction to, it seems like they would have to ask the sheriff of my county to come pick me up and transport me to their county or whatever. I think that's true too. But see, they didn't obey the law on not having the hearing, on his jurisdiction being removed from him, at least temporarily. Matter of fact, the change of judge under state law, see, I filed under both state and federal to make sure that he knew he didn't have jurisdiction. I put in the pleadings.
Did he answer you at all? Did he give you any response?
No, of course not. He has no intention of obeying the law.
Well, then he's outside his authority. Doesn't it give you a right to sue him personally?
Yes, it does.
And attach his personal property?
Yes, when he's without jurisdiction, he loses all immunity. When he acts without jurisdiction.
So how long are you going to be in here till you get rid of mandamus?
Either that, or they've just got me sitting here for the next 30 or 40 days until just a regular review hearing that was just a normal part from a couple months ago, a review hearing from a hearing on March 9th that they had without even informing they were going to have a hearing. They didn't even inform me they were going to have a hearing, so they had a hearing, and that's what this contempt thing came from. They had a hearing on March 9th without even serving me notice of the hearing. And in that hearing, they restricted my visitation rights in violation of Indiana law, which says that you can't do that to a non-custodial parent unless there's a finding of significant emotional or physical harm or threat of harm to the children. They can't restrict existing visitation rights. There was no findings. They didn't even bother to talk about anything like that. They just decided to restrict my visitation rights to only like Sunday during the day for part of the day and Wednesday for just, instead of the normal weekends and everything. So anyway, so that made it illegal already, but they didn't even serve notice of the hearing to begin with. Plus, as part of that hearing, they also decided to order me to I just blanked out for a second. They ordered me to provide name and address of an employer within 30 days from the date of that order, March 9th. Well, I also had removed the case to federal court on that same day, in between the time they had the hearing and before the order was actually issued that day. So at that point, the order, they didn't even have notice, so the hearing was illegal already. They violated the law, straight statutory law, restricting visitation rights. They can't do that. Plus, after the case was removed to federal court that day, the first time, this was the second time, but that was the first time, they could no longer do anything in the case, including issuing that order later in the day, let alone it was already bogus because no notice of hearing. And so that 30 days that they had ordered, I respond and give name and address of an employer, but non-existent employer, because I just got released, I was telling you earlier, from their previous false imprisonment of me. The case was removed to federal court for something like 40 or 45 days, so it went past that 30 days. And being outside the bus lines out in rural America, I couldn't find